guys, what is up? It is Snitchery. How are you doing? Please ignore the pillow and such behind me if you can see it. My roommate is home and I am trying to be quiet. If you are a returning subscriber, hi, thank you for coming back. And if you're new here, I'm Snitchery. If you're ever interested in seeing my face again, feel free to subscribe down below. And if you like this video at any point in this video, hit it with a like. It helps me out a bunch. Today, actually, I had another video planned and filmed and edited and ready to go. I'm gonna do a video on how I edit my Instagram photos. If you don't follow me on Instagram or have never seen them, they all look like this. And a lot of people are really interested in how I do it. So that's gonna go up soon. But for the past 2 days and like even 2 weeks, I've been watching something go down that I felt the need to talk about online because nobody else that I am seeing is talking about it. And if they are, they're talking about it in the wrong way, in my opinion. I just had to go and feed my rabbit. She was scratching. So we're gonna be talking about the Givenchy foundation release, showing their shade range or lack thereof. This one photo has gone so viral on Twitter. A lot of the big beauty YouTubers have been quote tweeting it, retweeting it with commentary, just talking about Givenchy aside from the photo, but because they saw the photo. While all the criticism has been criticism, everything I've seen from beauty YouTubers has been negative. The fact that it's being spoken about at all kind of got me thinking. There's this idea that all publicity is good publicity, and I think maybe 50 years ago, 100 years ago, that wasn't the case, when, you know, you could have negative word of mouth or negative press and it might have a negative impact on your business. But largely, in the age of social media, in the age of the internet, in the age of algorithms, I think that's really the case. I think it's nearly impossible to have publicity so bad that it's not good. I'm gonna be talking about a few other brands in this video, but just taking Givenchy as an example. So say they came out with an amazing shade range, right? Like a Fenty-esque shade range. It was all-inclusive and offered a diverse range of options for different skin tones, etc., etc. Okay, maybe a couple of YouTubers would have talked about it, maybe a few tweets of praise, but even then I think the backlash to those tweets of praise from other people would have been like, don't applaud a fish for swimming necessarily. Like now, especially in the last year or so, we've come to expect that foundation ranges should be all-inclusive. I think Fenty in particular paved the way for that to be the case. People saw how successful she was able to be, but Givenchy does not have a celebrity backing and they don't have the type of cultural clout that somebody like Rihanna has. They can't spur their brand forward in the same way. So there are 2 ways this could have happened that the shade range could be so abysmal. Number one, it could just be that as a fashion brand and as an international brand, their table really is just predominantly or exclusively white, and nobody saw a problem with this. Maybe because they're a fashion brand, they're not as tapped into the beauty industry, and it was kind of the standard a few years ago to really not offer an inclusive shade range for everybody. So maybe they're just a little bit behind because, of course, Givenchy is compartmentalized between the fashion and the beauty side of things. So they have a beauty team who should be clued into the industry, but maybe I would possibly give them the slightest benefit of the doubt that they just don't understand like the trends of the past 2 years and the way that beauty is moving and really what you have to do to be an acceptable brand in 2019, which really isn't excusable, I think, in the grand scheme of things, because how are you a beauty brand who doesn't have their thumb on the beauty industry? Like, actually, you know what? I guess there's 3 options. The second option is that the Givenchy beauty team knew that this was happening with brands like Fenty, and they decided they still didn't care and that they thought they would make more money only pandering to their white audience. I actually think this might be an option as well because Givenchy's foundation is expensive, and I wouldn't be surprised if there was like a very nasty sort of racially fueled ignorance about the fact that they think predominantly because their audience is wealthy that they're also mostly white, so it would be silly to make black foundation. And the third option is that they did it on purpose. Now, I'm not the first one to talk about this. There have been so many articles written about brands doing inflammatory or racially insensitive or insensitive in other ways commercials and ads and stuff like that just to get publicity. It became sort of a hot button topic around the time when Kendall Jenner did that Pepsi ad because it was so out of touch that a lot of writers and bloggers and stuff started thinking like, there's no way that at Pepsi there wasn't enough diversity on the team, there weren't enough voices for somebody to be like, maybe this is kind of a stupid idea. So the suspicion then became that they decided to make an ad that was so ridiculous that of course people would talk about it and people would write these articles about it and it would be all over the media and it would be the top trending topic on Twitter, and that they made it silly and insensitive on purpose. I don't know where I stand on this. On the one hand, I think that Kendall Jenner's name and image probably carries enough weight to have carried a Pepsi ad, but on the other hand, they got so much more publicity than they ever would have gotten by just having Kendall in a commercial. Was it good publicity? Not necessarily, but in the age of like the meme, it became just comical very quickly. People started making jokes about it. I still see memes about the Pepsi commercial. I don't think anybody stopped drinking Pepsi because of it, right? Since then, before then too, but I think this is when people started catching on. There's been quite a few ads that seemed really racially insensitive, like so racially insensitive that there's no way it couldn't have been done on purpose. Things like the Dove commercial. It was a beer commercial where it said lighter is better, like things like that, where if you just pulled 10 people from any room, they'd probably be like, maybe you should rethink that. But somehow it's gotten through all the vetting that these large companies have. It's kind of suspicious. I think in the mix of all these ads, there is maybe the odd one out that is just pure ignorance. And I don't mean ignorance in a derogatory way. I mean that like they were probably ignorant to the fact that this was a bad thing to do. The first thing that comes to mind is the ASOS ad where they had that black boy in a shirt that said like silliest monkey in the jungle or something like that. Racially insensitive, yes. But I genuinely think for a clothing brand where they're probably shooting hundreds of different clothing items and accessories and stuff like that a day, that there's a chance that they just had a bunch of child models and put them all in shirts and shot them. I would be willing to give them the benefit of the doubt for that one. Now in the case of Givenchy, that is not a clothing brand and they're not shooting hundreds of models a day. It's Givenchy Beauty is a exclusively makeup brand and they came out with a range of foundation. This is something that would take months and months and years to plan and to get together. This isn't just a spur of the moment mistake. So the third option, like I said, is actually the opposite of the first option. The first is that they just had no idea. The third option is that they had every idea on how the beauty industry works and what trends, and they realized that if they made a foundation range that was so clearly and abysmally terrible that people would talk about it. I was looking at Givenchy's socials, their beauty socials on Instagram, and I don't know how many followers they had before. I was not following them. Number one, they have terrible engagement rates. Like before this whole debacle, they were getting like 5 to 10 comments a photo and they have 1.3 million followers, which is sus. But now they're getting like 50 to 60 comments on a post after this whole scandal. And granted, it's negative commentary, but Instagram doesn't vet for whether things are negative or positive. In the same vein that YouTube doesn't distinguish between a thumbs up and a thumbs down, they just see it as engagement. Instagram is the same way. So for an Instagram page, any sort of engagement, even if it's a negative comment, and they're not deleting them because those comments are driving people to Givenchy Beauty's page. Instagram is going to see that leap in activity and be like, oh, people are interested in this page, and it's going to drive more people to that page. They'll be put on the Explore page. Their posts for their followers who are already following them, those 1.3 million people, will be ranked higher algorithmically because more people are engaging with their content. Like I said, in the age of algorithms, I don't think you can do something, I don't know, I honestly can't even think of what you would do that would be so bad, where it's not going to benefit you, at least like a very formal sense. You will be getting more engagement. Will people maybe have a lesser opinion of your brand? Perhaps, but your page will still perform better no matter what, which is kind of a crazy thing to think about. And in the case of Givenchy Beauty, did any of you guys even know that they had a beauty brand? Because I'm in the industry and I had never once considered that they had beauty products. I had not heard of their beauty brand, ever visited their page, ever seen any of their products before this controversy went down. And then even I was like, wait, Givenchy has a beauty brand? And I went onto their site and I looked at their products, and I guarantee that I wasn't the only one to do this. And while I didn't buy anything, I'm positive there are people who saw the shade range and were like, oh my god, that's terrible. Are the rest of their products that terrible? They went on the site, they looked, and they were like, oh, this shade range. But wait, this lip gloss is kind of cute. All of a sudden, Givenchy Beauty has business. It's weird because in the past few weeks, there's been so many controversies about insensitive clothing and makeup and stuff like that. Givenchy is on the lesser end of this because while they were maybe insensitive by omission, they didn't do anything that was like aggressively offensive. Unlike some of these other brands, like Burberry just came out with that hoodie that had a noose on the end. Gucci just had that weird turtleneck that resembled blackface. Katy Perry's shoe line, they had a shoe that resembled blackface. Like, these brands are coming out with these products with a quickness that seems like it has to be on purpose, right? And every single one of them has been my top trending topic on Twitter. The Katy Perry shoes were, the Gucci turtleneck was for a long time, and yesterday my top trending topic was the Burberry hoodie with the noose. So I'm sure I'm not the only one to think this every time something like this pops up, but are we ignorant enough to think that like none of these are on purpose? Because to be honest with you, how much press do you see about Burberry? Like nothing, right? I don't see anything personally. I'm not necessarily in the fashion world, but for the general public, nothing. Now all of a sudden we see their apology trending on Twitter. Are people upset about it? Absolutely. Is it gonna stop their average customer from buying something from Burberry? Absolutely not, I would imagine. Is it gonna bring perhaps more customers to the site? Probably. I don't know. It's like a weird paradoxical dilemma because these brands know that this works now. I don't know which of them are doing it on purpose and which of them are doing it on accident, but brands know that making insensitive products will get them a ton of press and presumably business. So what do we as consumers do, right? Because on the one hand, talking about it, even me making this video, is driving people to these brands. But on the other hand, when brands do things like this, we can't just not call them out for it. You know what I mean? Like, imagine if Gucci had made that turtleneck and everybody had thought to themselves, oh, that really highly resembles blackface, but nobody said anything because they didn't want to drive business. And then all of a sudden you see like random people on the street in that turtleneck because nobody spoke up about the fact that it was terrible. I honestly don't know what to do about it. And I guess I don't really have anything else to say. This was sort of a rambly, I don't even know. It was too calm to be a rant. If you have any ideas or anything to add to the conversation, I would love to hear about it down below in the comments. I do always read all of my comments, so we can have a discussion and a convo. If you made it to the end of this video, comment the ghost emoji. That one I think is probably my favorite emoji of all time. If you made it to the end of this video, comment a ghost emoji down below. If you ended up liking this video and you haven't already, like I said, hitting it with a like helps me out a bunch. And if you'd like to subscribe, I would love to have you. My next couple of videos going up are going to be the Instagram editing video that I talked about, and also I am getting my jaw done tomorrow. I'm getting jaw injections, so I'm gonna make a video on that because a lot of people on Twitter asked me to talk about it. I'll be doing my first, I'll be getting my first cosmetic procedure and I will be sharing it with you guys. So I think that's all I have today. Thank you for being my friend today and always. This was kind of a weird video, but I will see you guys next time very soon. Mwah. Bye guys.